Today we're going to be trying out the new Bizarre Botanicals palette from Dieverune Cosmetics. I'm so excited. I've tried a couple of their singles before, but I've never tried a palette. I've never tried their mattes, and I'm so excited to play with this and see what happens. This palette, if everything's going as planned, hasn't launched yet. It's launching on October 12th, but I did purchase this myself. It's not PR. I'll touch more on that later, but just know I purchased it myself. Inside the palette, we have a couple different things going on. There's mattes, of course, but we also have two satins. We have like a glitter matte. There's two like tie-dye shadows. And of course, there's a couple shimmers that look like beautiful indie shadows. And I'm really excited about those. So for eye swatches, let's start with Thimbleweed. This one's also the one that I'm the most excited about. I just love a light, cool-toned indie sparkle. What can I say? Feels soft, flaky, but it doesn't feel squishy. I don't have any eye primer on. I definitely feel the texture of the shade going on. Oh, I love that effect. It's funny, it's not entirely a wet effect shadow, but it kind of is. This is such a sparkly shadow, and I'm seeing a bit of like a mossy green base to it, though I feel like it is sheer enough that I could probably wear it layered over other things pretty easily, but I'm also definitely going to wear it just by itself. This is so pretty, living up to my expectations. I'm gonna swatch Devil's Hand next to it just to have the two cool tone shimmers at the same time. This one does not feel as flaky. Oh, I'm really excited. This looks like it's going to be like a grayed out denim blue with orange sparkle. Yeah. I was nervous about this one too. You know, I was able to buy it early, so I didn't see any swatches before I bought it, and I didn't like inspect them afterwards because I knew it was already coming anyway. So from the pan, I thought this might be a bit of a deeper shadow, which isn't entirely my jam, but it looks really light. I'm trying to decide if I'd call it sheer or if it's just light colored. I bet it would work well for some layering, but I'm definitely just going to wear it on its own because, as I said, I love a light colored shimmer all over the eye, good to go. But this is super unique. I don't think I've seen a shade that reminds me of this. I feel like this corally sparkle is kind of reminding me of Cleona Trinket, but that doesn't have this like gray base to it. I'm really excited about this. I like both of these shades, but I feel like I probably have something in my collection similar to this one. I know I don't have something similar to this, so yeah, I'm really excited to wear this. These both are so pretty in the other angle. The first one is so bright and glowy. I love that. And in the second one, I feel like I'm seeing a bit of like a kelp green to it, which I wasn't expecting and I'm super excited about. I guess I could be saying the names of these because they do have names. The first one was Thimbleweed and the second one was Devil's Hand. Next, I'm gonna go into Ghost Orchid, which I don't know if it's gonna come up on camera, but it looks like a really pretty iridescent. I can see around the rim of the pan some like purpleness. So seems to me like it's going to be a purple. At first I thought this one might be harder pressed, but when I got into it a little bit, it feels like it might be a little bit emollient, which I know is some people's cup of tea, and it's also not some people's cup of tea. Pretty. You know, I can tell you off the bat, I'm going to be wearing this shade on my inner corner probably every time I open this palette. I have a lot of pretty iridescents to wear in my inner corner, but I also like when a palette has an option, so if I don't want to go digging around in my collection, I can just use this one. So most of the time I use this palette, I'm going to use this. And for an iridescent to work well on my inner corner, I want it to be a little bit less steel to showy. Like, I like my lid shadows to be intense and sparkly, but I like my inner corner shades to be a little bit more like glowy. So all that to say, I don't think this is stealing the show on my lid, but I think that means it'll work well for my inner corner because I like the color of it, and I do see the little shimmer particles. So it's not shimmery, it's just not shimmery in the same way that I like my lid shades. I did a horrible job of explaining that. I'm rusty. Fly Orchid is this orangey one here. This looks like it's gonna be flaky. Is it? No, this one also feels a little emollient, but wow, look at that shine. Ooh, pretty. I will say, I just feel like I don't get as excited for orange shimmers. I've really been on like a cool tone shimmer kick for a while, but I do still wear everything. I'm just not as excited about it. So, I will say, this looks really pretty. It looks really glowy and intense. I can see this like, yeah, like the different tones to that like yellow gold sparkle in the forefront. Really pretty, makes it interesting. And then a bit more true orange in the base. I could see this color also really working well in making looks with the other colors in the palette. So no complaints on the look of it or the formula. I'm just not that big of an orange person, so I feel like I'm gonna be wearing the other shimmers that we've tried so far way more than this one. Nothing too different from the other angle. I think the glowiness of the iridescent does stand out, and I feel like I'm seeing a little bit of a cool tone shift to it. I don't know if it's in my head. And then the orange one is pretty glowy. That gold is really catching the light, really pretty. I'm assuming both of these tie-dye shades are gonna be in like the pinky purpley realm, but I just don't know. Let's start with Bleeding Heart. Okay, this one feels soft. That looks kind of like pinky? Yeah, mostly pinky. I always feel like with this type of shade, you're not necessarily going to get like a consistent look eye to eye. This swatch didn't feel like it went that far. This shade of pink is actually really pretty, but I feel like that swatch didn't go that far. So I'm gonna dip in again, and hopefully this will be consistent to the last swatch. Okay, yeah, that's what it needed. Oh, cute! I like this shade of pink, and I'm trying to decide what else I see in there. Because I also feel like around the outskirts, it looks a little bit more mauve, and it also seems like there's a reflect in the shimmer that's like a little bit gold or maybe green. Yeah, like that right there has got to be green, right? The tie-dye shades in the pan always kind of like look a little intimidating to me, but knowing it's just like this pretty pink, I feel like I'm gonna throw this on all the time. It's not that different from my skin tone, so I feel like this kind of passes as a neutral on me. Yeah, okay, cute. And then the other tie-dye is Corpse Flower. This one feels more textured when I dip into it, and it looks a lot more intense. This one also, I feel like I feel it going onto my eye. But I've also put on and taken off a couple swatches by now, so my eye might just be a little bit more sensitive. But seeing this shadow makes me realize how kind of light all the other shimmers so far have been, because this is a pretty intense shade. You know what I like about it though? It doesn't have too much depth in the base. I feel like most shadows that I've seen that look like this are some kind of like really deep base or black based multi-chromes. And this looks like it has a berry red base. And that's really cool. In the out of focus shot, it looks like a berry pink. We can see a lot of like bronze or orange sparkle to it. And even like out of the light, I see a bronziness to it. I really like this. I feel like a halo eye with this on the outskirts would look really pretty. Yeah, and I feel like when I was looking at the palette, I was kind of just not even paying attention to those two because I didn't know what they would look like. But putting them on my eyes makes me feel like I just like found, I just found two new shades in here. Who knew there was two new shades in here? In the other angle, I feel like the first shade overall looks pretty mauve, but that shift to it is very apparent, and the deeper shade, more of the same, very pretty, looks like wine. I used to do a lot of like more complicated, colorful looks, the kind of look that I feel like this palette is perfect for, so I decided to look at my own Instagram for inspiration, and I found this look that I posted in 2019, and this is the kind of vibe I'm gonna go for. Just don't laugh at me if it sucks, okay? Okay, for the warm section, I'm gonna be doing something with these pinks and purples. I don't know how it's gonna look in camera. Yeah, I feel like it looks on camera the way that I thought it looked from Instagram, but this pink isn't quite as pale as I thought it would be when I'm looking at it in person. Okay, I'm forgetting that this is the first time I'm trying the mattes. I like a matte to have pigment, but like be buildable. Like not be so intense off the bat that it's hard to work with. I like this so far. And I like the color, like it has a lot of pigment. It is like kind of pastel-y, but not entirely pastel-y. A bit more kick up with this lavender, but that's okay. Yeah, definitely making sure I'm kicking off the brush, because even though I do my eyes first, I still prefer to not have to deal with fallout on my face. And I tend to reach for mattes more often if I know that they don't like require cleanup. I feel like this hot pink is a big step up in intensity. So let me grab a smaller brush. All right, not a lot of kick up. Without a lot of effort, I feel like it's managed to kind of blend in to that lavender, but also maintain its own intensity. I feel like that looks pretty good so far. I'm going back in with the lavender. I don't know what brush to use for this dark one. Okay, you know I'm serious when I'm using a brush that I usually reserve for my inner corner. Smack myself in the eye. For my matte. Okay, not really having kick up. So far, the only one I've noticed the kick up has been that lavender. Yeah, this is working well. Why was that so easy? I'm suspicious. I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Is that why I think this is easy? I think I've just gone in so carefully. I probably will bring in the hot pink a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna pick up the hot pink on the same brush. And I'm gonna bring it in, but like a little bit lower. And I'll fix that blend up there. Oh, I didn't kick off quite as much of the lavender, and I feel like it did overpower a little bit, so this is gonna take a little bit of back and forth. Super! And then I'm just gonna use my concealer to cut the crease. Kind of like a wing within a wing, if you will. First, I'm going in with the deeper teal Moth Orchid. I kicked off the excess powder, and I started applying this with a small brush. At first, my concealer was bunched up a little bit, and you could see it through, but I smoothed it out. I'm always impressed with the deeper shade that's not getting powder over my whole face. After that, I'm going in with Butcher's Bloom, which is a little bit of a brighter teal. I'm just putting that in the next section over and kind of connecting it to the deeper teal. For most of the lid, I'm going in with this green Sneezeweed. This green is so pretty, went on so easily, no kick up. And then I'm taking the hot pink again, and in the secrecy of my mirror, I'm using this to neaten up the outline on the top. Ooh, there you can see it a little bit. Okay, I had to lock in with the mattes. I put on my base, and now I'm back to finish the eyes. I'm a little bit nervous about this, but I am going to do this like mac and cheese color. It's called Witch Hazel on the inner corner. Sometimes I feel like my bone structure in my face doesn't look good with anything like intense in like, you know, my inner eye section, but how bad could it be? Famous last words. And I feel like it could be cool because I want to kind of connect it to the lower lash line. And I feel like this yellowy color does kind of connect to the warms and the cools. For my lower lash line, I'm going to continue the colors of like the top section, being very careful with this lavender because I don't want fallout on my face. And then I'm just going in with the hot pink and blending with the lavender. That looks pretty good. I was going to say pleasantly surprised. I don't even know if I want to say surprised. I'm just impressed. I feel like so often when I try to do more colorful looks, I put it on and I'm like, oh, I'd rather be wearing something more simple. But I feel like this looks so good. And while I prefer simple makeup over like messy, colorful makeup, I think I prefer like well done colorful makeup, like well executed, or like products that were conducive with the type of makeup I was trying to do. I like that. I do have to add some shimmers. I think this looks so nice and I could leave it like this, but I want to add some shimmers. So I think I'm gonna take Tumbleweed, that first one that I swatched, and I'm gonna put that over the green. I want to do it kind of light because I want it to feel like it blends with the look and not like it's plopped on top. Okay, that feels a little plopped on top, but it looks so good. Oh yeah, that looks good. And this one's a little bit less makes sense. But I want to plop Ghost Orchid on top of this yellowy color because, you know, it's such an inner corner shade, but it is like a purple shimmer on top of a yellow. But voila, it works. It does kind of dial down that yellow, but I feel like that's fine. Yeah, that picks up really nicely with the brush. which I was concerned about when I ice swatched because it felt soft, and sometimes like the softer shadows don't work well with brushes, which is usually fine, but for inner corners, I want to use a brush. Okay, let me put the finishing touches on the look and I will be right back. And here is the finished look. I did get mascara on my lid at the last second. As I was thinking to myself, I'm just a second away from taking pictures of this. Mascara on my lid. That never happens. I love this look. I'm so impressed with this palette. I used a lot of shades. In this look, I used 10 shades, most of them matte, and all other than the lavender didn't have fallout, blended so nicely, retained their pigment. I feel like a complaint that I had with a lot of indie mattes in the past was that they were like boom color, which can be useful. And I know there's some people that like to do their makeup that way, but for me, I want easy to work with shadows. I want shadows that I don't have to baby. I want shadows I can just go like onto my eye and work with it. And I feel like these are exactly what I like. I feel like these are kind of like blends themselves type of mattes, but they don't blend themselves away. I think my favorite one that I used is this green called Sneezeweed. I love the shade of green. It went on my eye so easily. It reminds me of Sydney Grace Meadow, which I have, and I've always kept through declutters because I love the shade that much, but I've never gotten like that good of payoff with it. And I feel like this is what I always wanted that shadow to be. Let me tell you how I got this in my hands before launch. Dieverune Cosmetics, I've been watching their stories a lot because I've been planning / thinking about buying their collab with Andromeda, the Magnetic Mineralia palette. So their stories have been like top of my Instagram. I clicked on a story that had been up for 13 minutes that was like, we put 8 palettes of this new launch that had not yet been revealed up for sale, and you could buy it like sight unseen, and it would ship and it would get to you before the launch. I went and I put it in my cart, and I already had the Magnetic Mineralia palette in my cart because I had been thinking / planning on buying it. And after like maybe 30 minutes of pondering, I was like, you know what? I really like the packaging. I haven't bought a palette in so long, and I wouldn't mind being like a semi-good YouTuber again and occasionally like talking about new makeup, which is something that I used to do pretty regularly and I feel like I haven't done for some time. So I'm like, worst comes to worst, I have a packaging that I like and I can make a video about it. I will say, when it was revealed, I think the day after I bought it, I was a little bit like, like I don't know if that's a me palette, because I've been enjoying, as I've mentioned, cool tone shimmers and neutrals most of the time, with like some pops of color. An all colorful palette hasn't really been my jam for a while. But when I kind of like broke down the color story, I really do like a lot of the individual colors in here. And I've been like fantasizing about rearranging it, finding like an arrangement of shadows that's more me, because these are magnetic pans. And I also feel like I like it better in person. These 2 pinks looked like super pale online, and they're still light colors, but they're not as pale as I thought they would be, and I like that. And none of the colors go too deep, which I also like, because I feel like the worst thing a palette could have for my taste is like super deep shimmers or like, you know, black or blackish shadows, because I just never wear those. So although my first impression was, I'm not sure about this, I probably wouldn't have bought this if I had waited and saw it before I bought it. In this moment, I'm very happy I have it. I love the look that I have on my eyes, and I feel like a lot of my makeup collection is like kind of old now, and it's kind of like old formulas, and there's definitely been like strides in makeup formulation since I bought a lot of shadows that I have. So I kind of look at this as like my collection of colorful shadows. And I feel like if I think of this palette as that, as like the place that I look when I want a colorful shade, I'll get use out of this. And it does have a couple shades that are very like what I wear now. Like these 2 shimmers and this like denim and orange shimmer down here. I'm also really excited about the teals. There used to be a teal in a Huda Beauty palette. When they did like the 9 pans, there was a colorful palette and there was a teal in it, and I really like that. And I've actually never like found the magic of that teal in any other shadow or any other palette. And I was thinking about that. Like, that's how much of an impact that Huda Beauty palette made on me. I was thinking about it as I saw this reveal and as I was putting this on, and I feel like I have that teal back in my life. But I do think my initial hesitation with the reveal of the palette and my subsequent enjoyment of the palette shows me that perhaps I'm ready to be a little bit more experimentative again with the makeup that I wear. Perhaps I'm ready to try out new looks that I'm not used to wearing anymore, color stories that I'm not like using on a daily basis. Like, maybe I'm back in a period of discovery and play. I don't know. Or maybe the two things exist at the same time. Maybe I'm in a place of discovery and play, and I'm also in a place of wearing what I'm comfortable with. I think I could do both at the same time. So I am really excited to have this. I'm also so excited for this. I love this packaging. This is the collab with Andromeda, who's S Andromeda. I think that's their name. Where's my phone? Yes, S Andromeda on Instagram. I've been eyeing this palette. I haven't even like revealed the shimmers to myself yet. I'm gonna have a moment later, okay? Sorry. But I'm even more excited about this palette knowing that their mattes in the Bizarre Botanicals palette worked so well for me. Oh, and also it's almost my birthday, so I felt like these are like birthday presents to myself. So yeah, I guess the good YouTuber thing to say is that this is launching October 12th. I don't have a discount code, but there are discount codes. Andromeda has one. Millie Bad to the Brow has one. I'm sure there's tons of others. If you have like a favorite indie content creator, favorite, I already said favorite, use their code. They also have other products that are launching. There's some lip products. There's some singles in collaboration with various creators. There's some nail polishes. I love the nail polishes. You know, the only bummer about the fact that I bought this early is like, I need those nail polishes and I'm gonna be paying shipping again because I'm gonna order them. But they're in collaboration with Copacetic, and there's like a murky green and a glow in the dark blue. I love them. So yeah, check out Dieverune Cosmetics on Instagram for the reveals of the other products. Are you planning on picking this up? Do you have anything from Dieverune Cosmetics? I'd be really curious to find out. Let me know. I do have some singles from them that I filmed a video ice watching a while ago. The footage was horrible, so I never posted it, but I could refilm that sometime. And also, as I said, I would like to play around with this and rearrange the shades. Let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in seeing. Otherwise, I'll just be like doing that on my own sometime. But let me know. If you enjoyed this, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Either way, thank you so much for being here. Bye!